Okay, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Mm. Welcome to Magic Coffee Hour. Um, I actually suspect we might have a few latecomers because, as most of you probably know, we had some time rolled back. Daylight savings time kicked in. So I think everybody's schedule's thrown off just a smidgen at the very least. Let's see here. Luna, welcome. Adelman, good to see you. All right. Since we already got 8 people in here and 9 likes, that's what we love to see. Hope everyone had a wonderful Halloween weekend and stayed safe, didn't get into too much trouble. Let's see what we got. Rosemary, welcome. Bestest Wolf, welcome. Glad to see you made it. All right. Good. The time change didn't mess everybody up as bad as I thought it might. And yes, before y'all ask, I am still drinking out of the limited edition Halloween mug we got available. I figured just because we're a day past Halloween doesn't mean I should get rid of the coffee cup just yet. Know what I mean? John, hello. It's the Emerald Wizard from Discord. Welcome. Welcome. Good to see you. Glad you made it. So I have had a very, very busy weekend. It has been crazy. I did do a lot of ancestry work, like I told you on Friday that I was planning on doing. Many of you in Discord know I stayed busy practically all day yesterday up until late in the evening. And of course, life has happened too, so we've had to deal with a few things. Had a few maintenance issues we had to take care of. Luckily, we was able to get those taken care of. So let's see here. And you guys are hopping tonight. Let's see. Olivia, welcome. Glad you made it. Yeah, Halloween mug up. T, did you get yours? Did you order one? It don't tell me who orders them. It just tells me how many's been ordered. Which they are going quickly. So if you are interested in it, do get yours because we only have 50 of them. Once they're sold out, they're gone. Ariel, welcome back. Always good to have you. Let's see. Finished up most of your notes on tarot. Oh, that's good. That's real good. That is good. I know tarot taking notes can be hard. It really can. And I just realized I forgot to silence this little thing here in the background. Let's make sure that's shut up so we don't keep getting buzzed and beeped and binged and all that good stuff. That's never fun. Maru the Wanderer. Hello. Good to see you. No, yeah, getting all 78 cards meaning wrote down is tricky. It is. And technically speaking, that's only the start of your tarot journey because the meanings are bigger than just those little snippets. But that's an awesome to hear, man. Glad to hear it. Tarot's a lot of fun when you get into it. It really is. Kima Classics. Good to see you. Welcome. Hope I didn't butcher that name. Apologize if I did. No, it's honestly, I gotta say we had a pretty good weekend here. It appears the neighborhood did more one of the got together and did a trunk or treat kind of thing for the kids, which was nice. So they were able to deal with all the issues and all that we got going on with 2020 because that's been a lot of fun. Did get to see quite a few little interesting costumes running up and down the road. It was nice because I've usually complained that costumes have gotten too cute. You don't see any good scary costumes anymore. And I actually got to see a lot of really good costumes around here. We even had one weedy little dude dressed like a predator from the, Alien versus Predator movies. And costume, my God, they put hours into that one. That was freaking awesome. Barbara, hey, welcome. Glad you could join us. Mugs up to you. Thank you for joining us. Good to have you. It's always nice that when we meet new people here in the streams. Jade, welcome. Let's see. Josie, hello to you too. Did anything magical happen this Halloween for you? Yeah, I gotta say it did actually. I was doing a lot of ancestor work and working with Freya, and I got a lot of notes I got to pour through actually. But I did get a lot done, a lot of good information, notation, stuff like that. Um, Halloween is also a really dear, dear friend of mine's birthday, so I got to spend a little time chatting with her, um, which was nice. We got caught up on a few things. I had to say, I had a really good Halloween. Busy, but good. Barbara, you catch on quick. Mugs up, definitely. I always take another excuse to drink more coffee. KMA, what are my thoughts on death? If you mean the process and what happens, well, to the best I've been able to figure out with my gnosis, and I do work with a lot of death entities. When we die, it is a part of life and a part of a transition. Now, our bodies can't actually contain the entirety of our soul, only a fragment thereof. And that fragment is what makes up the identity of this lifetime. So when we pass on, that fragment is released. Um, and that fragment still has its memories, its identity, and all those things. But it does actually have a place in the spirit world, and therefore, that's why in a future life you can still see spirits of your past lives, as it were. But it is all a process of learning and growing, and ultimately the goal is for the soul to learn enough that the entirety of the soul becomes one again and can ascend to a higher level of being. And I say it that way because so many people they'll call it something different, becoming an ascended master. They'll call it just ascent. They'll call it becoming divinity. There's so many different things people call it and describe it as. As to the exact details of what it is, I think that's still open for debate. Barbara asks, how can dragons help with the death process? Honestly, where they focus on the balance, Barbara, they're really good at explaining the process and why it's important to maintain the balance and why it's important for the balance of the human being and the soul to gain that knowledge and that growth and continue its cycle of growth. They're also really good at making sure that you can reach out to those you love and have possibly lost and communicate with them as well. Good question. See, Olivia, I have a question. I had a dream and it has to do with Freya. So I've been working on self love spells through candle and kitchen magic. I've been having a rough time. Freya can definitely help with self love, though she will also deal with self empowerment with it. Freya's a big believer in self empowerment and self love at the same time. Loving yourself is not enough. You have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and actually take care of yourself because you are genuinely worth taking care of. You're worth protecting. You're worth defending. You're worth fighting for. And you should be the one fighting the hardest for you in her mind. So, yeah, that could very well be a Freya thing. Do I think we are all shards of the same energy? Honestly, I'm a little out on that one. From the gnosis I've gathered over the long term, I'm going to have to say I'm leaning toward no. And the reason for that is technically we don't reach that energetic unity until the point where energy ultimately gets deconstructed from creation. Um, so by that characteristic, no, but technically we would all come from that same source of nothingness and creation all at the same spot. But I don't think we're all energetic shards of the same intellect or being or energy pattern. But again, my research is still out, so I don't really do a hard line on that. It's just that's currently where my current gnosis is sitting. And it's only because of that one little fine detail, because like I did say, technically all that energy does flow up there. But it is at the point of deconstruction, which is, well, it's a complete lack of energy. It's a nothingness point. And Bestest Wolf, don't forget. Oh, thank you, Wolf. Bestest Wolf reminds us, if you haven't already, to smash the like button if you like the video and the work we're doing, because it does help support the channel. Thank you, Wolf, for reminding me. I appreciate that. Oh, I don't know what I'd do without you all to remind me to do my job. Lauren, welcome. Glad you could make it. Wolfden, welcome. Glad to see you in chat. Is this your first time? I don't think I've seen you before. See, Austin asked Drake, I know there's around 4,002. What the? I think we got a group of Harleys going up the road. Oh, well, good on them. Sorry about that, Austin. Austin, I know it says, I know there is around 4,200 religions. How many of the religions do you know the full and total magical understanding of? Ooh, Austin, I wouldn't even begin to ponder and guess at that, my man. Um, Honestly, I steer away from religion largely. It is true. I was Christian. I did teach in the church, and I do have a reasonable theological background. Um, but I try not to get into religious debates and arguments because I try to respect other people's beliefs in that. I do approach magic from a non-religious viewpoint, and that's very important in my practice. Though at the same time, if I am working with an entity that shows up in a religious myth or whatnot, I do try to look into the stories and the history and try to understand why it's presented in the way it's presented. And I try to view it from different perspectives because many times the entity will be presented in different mythologies. So it's in those cases that I will pursue it. But by and large, I don't make it a habit to dive too deeply into the study of religion and out past just what I'm currently working on or what I'm helping someone else with. Because again, I'm not a religious person. I'm really not. I really stick to the science of magic. I'm sorry I can't help you there, but I would say I'd say honestly outside Christianity, I consider my knowledge pretty thin. Um, some people would like to put Norse in my little book of knowledge, but it's a reconstruction. We don't have a lot of archaeological details. Everything's reconstruction in the Norse. So I do the best I can with what I can, working with the entities there. and I've worked with a few also true groups and other heathenry groups to do a few rituals from time to time. All the groups I've worked with have been very nice people, but um, yeah, I really don't know. That's a tricky one, my man. Peachy, glad to see you made it. Hello, hello, hello. Better late than never. Hey, at least you made it. Glad to see you got your internet up and functioning. We missed you. The Discord just wasn't the same without your antics. KMA, all right, thanks. Hey, no problem, KMA. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy the stream. Whooped in music already did. Thank you. Thank you for liking the video. Appreciate it. Yeah, we tend to attract some wolves around here. We do. We do. I think Odin has a hand in that, if you want my opinion. All the wolf energies. Yep. Oh, good. We got questions pouring in here. I might be falling a little bit behind. That's okay. Do remember, if you have a question, you want to make sure I see it. We do have the super chat. Small donation. It flashes it up real big in front of me. Makes me see it. Beyond that, I will try to do the best I can not to miss anything. But it jumps and then I start missing. Let's see here. John, I'm a little curious as to your suggestion on this question. Should one find a familiar first, or can they find a dragon familiar before a normal animal one? Dragons will not do the job of familiars. They won't. They just, I don't know, they won't. But you could find your guardian dragon before a familiar. There's magicians go their entire lives without finding a familiar. So familiars can be helpful, but some people go their entire lives without having one. I do work with animal totems and spirits, but I personally do not have a familiar. So yeah, I mean, you could easily go and find your guardian dragon, but a dragon won't function as a familiar, though you could create a familiar that takes on the appearance of a dragon, but it would not be a dragon in and of itself, John, if that makes sense. Let's see here what we got. Barbara says, I notice you use the word entity a fair bit. What do you mean? Honestly, entities can be any intelligent, conscious being out in the multiverse. The reason I use the word entity is because across the multiverse, beings are not necessarily separated up into the categories that we humans try to separate them into. For example, deities. We assign deities this little position and put them up on this big giant pedestal. Whereas dragons aren't per se viewed as gods or deities, yet honestly, they can hold their own with any of the deities that humans work with. In some cases, I've even seen them outclass them. And that's just the thing. I use the word entity as a blanket statement. Because I don't try to categorize them and break them down into categories unless there's a necessity for it. Lauren asks, have you worked with Tyr a lot before? I can't remember. You've spoken about him previously. Actually, I have. Actually, I worked with Tyr earlier this week too, funny enough. Me and Tyr do get along pretty well. Both him and I have a pretty strong sense of justice and pursuing it. So him and I do often sit down and share a drink and discuss justice philosophies quite a bit, and he's also helped me a lot in my life with issues and things that have come up that I needed to actually resolve. We also have some wonderful discussions and sit down and discuss philosophies on honor, paths, those times when you find yourself in a gray area in life where you're actually torn between some of your own beliefs. He's really been helpful with me sitting down to discuss those kinds of things as well. Honestly, I love working with Tyr. He's a really great deity to work with. Wolf energy, yeah, it can mean lone wolf, independent. It can just mean wolves are also intelligent. They're often represent teachers. It's just energy patterns that are often represented by wolves, is generally what the term wolf energy means. Also, the people who might have a wolf totem. No, Lauren, yeah, I've actually noticed here, you don't hear a lot about him in the past, but he's really starting to pop up more, which I actually think that's a really good thing. I really do. So that's actually good to see. I actually know a lot of law enforcement people that work with Tier, which makes perfect sense. I mean, it's pretty much their job at that point, right? Well, technically, this is magical coffee hour, John. We just here to drink coffee, ask questions, and chat and have a good time. Not sure we really have a topic. We're just kind of all over the place up in here. But as far as have I read any of E.A. Coedine's books? Um, yeah, I've read a couple of them. I'm trying to remember which two. I do remember I read his book of Azazel, which I actually found interesting. His account of Azazel and everything. It is very different than many other accounts you'll read of Azazel. But I did actually enjoy the work, and it was interesting to hear about his path working with Azazel when I did read through it. And I read through it back when I was starting my own research on Azazel. Um, let's see. I also read his. What's the title of it? It's his evoking book. Evoking's in the title. I can't remember the actual title. I apologize. Evoking Eternity. That's the name of it. Evoking Eternity. I did read that one because it's really hard to find good books on evocation to recommend. And I found that interesting, though. The only thing about his writings that, and this is personal preference only, this is no knock against him. Um, he does put a lot of anecdotic story in there, which is good. It is really good stuff, and it's good to have that. But at the same time, I'm more of a meat and potatoes kind of guy. I want to get to the nuts and bolts and the materials that we're working on. And I don't want to have to read through paragraphs of just story that really isn't necessarily going to help me. So I guess I tend to prefer to read workbooks, instruction manual kind of things. Um, that would be my only critique, but otherwise I found it really good. And actually, his evocation book, I'd have to go back and reread it, but I do remember he broke the process of evocation down into a very systematic approach, which, again, someone like me who comes at it from a science of magic and breaking it down into a good system approach, I actually thought was really good. I thought he did a good job breaking it down compared to some of the other authors. The only thing it comes to is his books can be damn expensive. And at times they can even be hard for some people to follow. So that would be the only reasons I don't recommend them more. Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, his works, everything of his that I've been able to get my hands on, try and test, I got to say it works. Um, So, good magician. Yeah. Let's see, John Tier for sure has that wolf energy with the Fenrir story. Yeah, he gets tied up into that Fenrir story a little bit. Him and Odin both. Ronaldez, hey, you made it. Glad to see you, man. Lauren, one of your best friends is a correction officer, actually, and he works with Tier. Love the honorable aspects of him for sure. Yes, yes. Actually, several correction officers I know of as well, not just. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And tell your friend thank you, by the way. That's not easy work. That's not easy work at all. Olivia, my sister loves EA. Um, a lot of people like his work. Honestly, I really enjoy some of his works. I've noticed that his works and his YouTube channel actually are a little different, because his works are presented very straightforward kind of manner, where his channel, he does, at least from my perspective, it appears he dramatizes a few things. But then I'm pretty sure I've seen a video or at least a interview where he admits that, you know, that's part of the game of advertising. And it clearly it's working. The man's doing good. He's sharing information and getting people out there practicing, finding their path. So at least in that concept of trying to help others find their path and gain a form of self mastery and build the life they want, him and I seem to have quite a bit in common. Quite a bit. Though he does seem to work, well, not seem to, he does. He works more with demons, where my focus is more on dragons. He did do a Norse path working at one point. Um, so, we also do have that Norse thing in common. Let's see. Yeah, $80 for all eight. Well, yeah. His complete works in paperback, $80. What is that? 8 books? That's not a bad price. That's $10 a book. That's a pretty good deal right now if you can get that. Oh, was born hungover? Party too hard last night? John, haven't paid that much for a book in my life. Well, technically, you're paying that much for 8 books. Um, but I actually have. I try not to. I got a lot of people who ask me to review books, and actually, his books, I probably get more requests for than any. And I am looking to get a hold of some of his and read through them and review them for you all, and actually give kind of a detailed opinion, because usually when I read them last time, it was strictly from a research perspective. So I want to go back through and read them for a insight and recommendation. But and of course, cost efficiency. Is it worth the price tag? And at the $80 price tag, that gets tricky. That really gets tricky. Oh, Bourne's seen that admission too. Good. So I'm not the only one who's seen it. Okay. And I know he catches a lot of flack. I know he does, but honestly, at the end of the day, the proof is in the magic and whether it works. And when I've applied the systems that he's gone over and the methods, they work. They yield results. So, even though him and I disagree on a few things, magician man wise, the man knows what he's doing. Now, I tip my hat to him for sure. I'd actually love a chance to get to sit down with him over coffee sometime and chat. I really would. Oh, Peachy's right. We got 19 likes and 24 people in here. So if you haven't already, smash that like button. Thanks for reminding us, Peachy. John, what's my opinion on Solomonic and ceremonial magic in the living? I'll be honest with you. We did a path working where we tested Solomonic practices and working with the Goetia and summoning those entities. And we actually did a testing where we went through it by the book, old school. We actually had to um, borrow a buddy's barn because we had to find a place we could paint the circle and get it down on the floor correctly in correct size and portions, which is difficult, by the way. We did the preparatory rituals, all that crap. And we worked through that, and then we went to a much simpler version of evocation, but we still used the sigils to call up the entities. And honestly, for us, we got better results just using a simple evocation ritual as opposed to the rituals in the Solomonic tradition. Now, for me personally, I think if you approach anyone in a way where you're not, coming at them aggressively, you're probably going to get better results. So that could be partially a viewpoint that, maybe I was already not really jiving with the ritual because of that. So I admit that. Traditional ceremonial magic in general, it's not my bag. I'm a very practical person in most rituals, but at the same time, I find ceremonial magic a beautiful practice. And I love many of the rituals. I've worked with a few ceremonial magicians over the years, and I've always enjoyed working with the rituals and everything. It's just for my day-to-day practice. It's not my bag, but I do find it beautiful, and it does raise fascinating energies. So, you know, and for some people, the ritual layout, the methodical parts of it, that's really what draws them in. That's what they need. So that's, yeah, if that makes sense. I mean, some people need that kind of really strict form to work well, because we are all different. So different systems do tend to resonate with people differently and better. As far as if you're wanting to know, do I think there is one true system that beats them all? No, I don't. Um, and I actually find arguments like that with people to be somewhat ironic and silly. But I actually love both practices. I love the Solomonic text and the history behind it, or the supposed history behind it, I should say. Um, but as far as the overall rituals, after the initial path working and test and finding out, I yielded better results with rituals that were far, far quicker, nor did they take days prep. I probably won't use them again in my personal practice. But for the people who do the Solomonic practice, my hat's off to y'all. See, Barbara, I work with a few nonverbal people with autism. I believe they may have connection to dragons. I can see them around them. Do you have any experience with this? Yeah, dragons actually don't need a verbal component to communicate. So it is actually very possible for a nonverbal autistic individual to work with dragons. The hardest part is getting to the understanding of bridging the gap and communicating it. But dragons, by and large, even if it's not like full initiated dragon magic, they tend to reach out to humans and work with them and watch over them, even if the person's unaware of it. So, yeah, I've actually encountered quite a few dragons that tend to be around autistic people. And I theorize that it is due to the fact that many autistic people do seem to be very sensitive to energies. And since they don't question as many things and have as many doubts, it does make them more open to those communications. but that's just a theory at this time. I would like the ability in the future to do more research. But there's only one of me, and I'm spread thin already, Barbara. Hopefully, somebody will do that research. Okay. Oh, it jumped. Okay. Maria, hi. I'm new here. I was wondering, is there a book more about the mythology of dragons that you know of? I want to approach this path from a scientific point of view. Maria, unfortunately, no. I've dug and dug and dug and dug, and I can't find one. Every time you think you do, you find out it's coming from a spiritual and or fantasy perspective. Um, I know a few people have asked me to try and sit down with my notes on the draconic realm and pin my gnosis upon them and what I've learned from them. And I've considered it. I don't know if there'd be any calling for that kind of book because if you're learning dragon magic, you can essentially learn straight from them this kind of stuff. But I have considered attempting to pin it. As many of you know, writing and organizing my words on paper is not my strong suit, which is why I opted for video formatting. But could be an interesting project to undertake for sure. But at this point in time, I do not know of a book currently, Maria. I apologize for that. Let's see here. Animal Man, have you ever worked with any Native American gods? Um, I worked with, well, I should say I've been in a ritual where White Buffalo Woman was called. The shaman who called her was the one running the ritual and everything. So I personally wouldn't say I count that myself. Um, and I think every time I have encountered a Native American deity in any close fashion, it was a situation like that where I had been asked as a guest to join in with the ceremony or the rituals, which for me was a massively big honor. So I do not recall a time where I've worked directly with them for a long period of time where I would count it as me working with them. There's been a time or two where I've had to call one or two of them up for a Native American individual who was having a very hard time and could not get in touch with one of their shamans at the time to help them. Which you want stress, that'll stress you because personally, I would rather them go to one of their own shamans. Um, but I always try to do my darndest to be a liaison whenever possible. And I'll try to do so as respectfully as possible. And I am blessed to have a lot of Native American friends that have helped me be that bridge. And of course, I'll always tend to call them as well for advice on how to handle such situations. But as far as long-term workings, no, I really haven't. I keep telling myself I'm going to make time to do that. It's just more and more work and research piles up, and I never get around to it. I need to figure out how to get more time out of my days and more years out of my life so I can make that happen. Austin Drake. Austin Drake. Did rulers like Genghis Khan utilize baneful magic as a stare to your understanding? Genghis Khan specifically, I don't know. I do know that there are plenty of people throughout history who did utilize magic, whether it be in a way to bolster their forces or hinder their opponents in a baneful manner. Magic was just kind of part and parcel of life back in the past. So yeah, I mean it was, and honestly, Genghis Khan Um, I would think he did to some extent. I would think. I'm not gonna say I'm sure on him, but I do know plenty of them did. No problem, Maria. Like I said, I'll do the best I can to answer. You guys do ask some really great questions, and as much as I've learned over all these years, I don't pretend to know everything. Let's see here. Halloween, glad you made it. Glad you made it. Let's see. Thanks, Drake. Genius answer. Hearing motorcycles. And we've had our fair share of motorcycles around here today. Not really sure why. Which is kind of funny because we've had heavy rain. And it's like heavy rain, and people's like, I'm going to bust out the motorcycle. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Amiko Chan, what do you mean by shifting realities? And let's see, John, what is your favorite essential oil or incense? Dragon's blood. I really don't use a lot of essential oils. The ones I do have are usually gifts that someone gives me. Um, but incense wise, definitely dragon's blood. Whether it's the natural resin or just the cones, tends to be what I gravitate toward. Uh, though I will admit, this time of year, when it comes to candles, I tend to stock up on evergreen. I love evergreen candles. I do use them quite a bit in Magic, but also I just like having the house smell like evergreen. That's just one of the I love nature smells like that. Let's see. What is your favorite type of spirit to work with? Dang, never thought about that. Now, see, when we use the word spirit, my brain drops off of knocks a lot out of the category. So if I may change your question, KMA, to say entities, because there's different areas of entities there. I would say dragons. But if you're just saying like spirits in general, like human spirits and the like, um, and I know some people consider demons and angels to fall under the category of spirits. I actually do tend to think I prefer working with demons out of those three in the spirit category because they're just a little easier to work with. They're very anxious to teach and help. That's true, true, true. They will let you stick your finger in the light socket and shock yourself to learn a lesson, but that works for me. Angels being the more rules heavy side of that uh, equation. I don't tend to enjoy working with them as much, though I do love working with like Archangel Michael. And human spirits, ugh, I work with them, but I more work with them to help them reach out or move on, that kind of stuff. And I work with them through other entities like Odin and Hel and Freya, kind of part and parcel with working with them. Without them, I don't think I really would work with the human spirits all that much, personally speaking. John, I thought it'd be coffee bean. My man, you are correct. But I don't technically need a candle or incense oil or anything like that because we are brewing coffee probably at least a pot every 2 hours around this house. So this house always is gonna smell like coffee, which for me, that's a good thing. I love the smell of coffee. A friend of mine said the 2 smell or no, 3 smells that makes her think of me is leather, coffee, and dragon's blood. Because apparently anytime she meets me and hugs me, that's what I smell like. Which I guess makes sense because leather does hang on to, smells pretty well. So this jacket always tends to cling to the dragon's blood incense I burn. Well, and you can't drink as much coffee as I do without spilling some on you, so that's inevitable too. Shifting my reality into a chocolate castle. Heck yeah. Bring me back some dark chocolate, Luna. Dark chocolate cocoa with a little cayenne pepper sprinkled on it. That good stuff right there. And for those of you who's like cayenne and cocoa, try it. Seriously. Pick your favorite hot chocolate and just a pinch, just a very light pinch of that cayenne on it. Ooh, it brings out some chocolate flavors. It really does. Mm. Now I want some hot chocolate. Dang it. Okay, King Paimon's not a bad place to start. It really isn't. Um, I actually found Paimon very, very approachable. I really did. So yeah, I can understand why a lot of people would tell you to start there. That makes sense. My first, who was my first one? Let's see. Was Paimon the first? No, no. I cannot remember who the first one I worked with was. That is weird. Let's see. Luna, you laughing at me? How dare you? Lauren, try it. I know you're a Southern girl. Try it. You will like it. Just go easy on it. Small pinch because it can actually get overpowering and be too spicy. But if it's just a small pinch, it really brings out some really good flavors in the chocolates that you wouldn't think were there. It's really good. So yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure Ingus would definitely love it. I don't think him and I's ever had the cayenne and cocoa discussion, but I guarantee you he'd like it. So yeah, it's probably some Ingus mischief over there, but it's good stuff. Definitely give it a try. It does sound like classic Ingus. When in doubt, put something spicy in there. But no, try it and let me know what you think of it. I think you'll really like it. John, that's a pretty reasonable path. That is. Honestly, anytime I've worked with Lucifer, I've enjoyed it. I really have. In fact, I'm actually been working with him quite a bit now to sit down and flesh out how he wants me to do a video on him because I have gotten a lot of requests to do a video on him like I did Azazel. So hopefully we'll have that video out soon. But I always enjoyed working with him. And of course, most of you know Azazel I work with quite a bit. Him and I get along real well. All right. Let's see here. We're coming up on the hour. So if you got any final questions, go ahead and get those in there. We'll make sure we take care of those. Um, I do apologize for well, it's not short, but you know, but I am exhausted this week. Sorry if I look it or look bad or uglier than normal. It has been a week, but it's been a good one. Definitely have to say it's been a good week. But it has been a tiring one, and well, I got woke up early this morning. That's never fun. Never fun. Now we do actually have a the video for Tuesday coming out is the next lesson in the free rune magic class that we're putting up on YouTube. Complete class, completely free. The whole playlist will be uploaded, and we are working. My goal is to get one lesson posted every 2 weeks. So for those of you who are following the channel and working through it, you'll just have that nice little 2 week period that you can do the homework on. And yes, the lessons come complete with homework. Magic has homework too. Surprise. Gotta do the work. But we should be seeing that lesson Tuesday, if I'm remembering correctly. And then we do have the Zodiac Dragon video coming soon. I know a lot of you have been asking about the Zodiac Dragon video and wanted to see that. So we did get that one up and ready to go, and it might actually be the following week. I don't have my calendar memorized, but I do know that one's coming. KMA, I don't know you particularly. I don't know if you have wolf energy or not. And I try not to read energy over online because well, first off, I've screwed my computer up doing magic around it enough times. So I don't want to run a risk of it. Let's see, John, are there any Oracle decks you'd recommend in card reading? See, I don't do a lot of work with Oracle decks, and as much as I love tarot, I'm uber picky. I've only actually found one tarot deck that I like, and it's this like dark gothic vampiric art deck. Which when I first saw the box of it, I was like, oh my god, that's a cheesy freaking box. Why would anybody want that deck? And then a friend of mine had it, and I was flipping through it, and I don't know what it was about the artwork. To this day, I still don't know what it was about the artwork, but it jumped out to me. And I'm one of those people, if I have a deck, I don't tend to buy other decks. So I'm really a bad source for deck information. I apologize. Those, as much as I love tarot, I just don't collect decks, and I haven't really used a lot of them. I use a deck until it dies, and then I'll go buy a new one. That's where my practical side gets in the way, because I know so many magicians, they got like bookcases of decks, and they could tell you stories about every deck. And I love visiting these guys. Y'all know them, you've met them. They just whip these decks out, and you're going through them. You could spend the whole night or month going through these decks with them. And they have some gorgeous decks, and every deck seems to read differently. But me, the cheapskate and the practical side of me, I got my one deck and I roll. But I do use runes and scrying for most of my divinations anyway, so my tarot deck really kind of gets neglected some, won't lie. And Oracle deck, I've never found an Oracle deck I like. I've never found one that just speaks to me. Now, I've had plenty of Oracle deck readings done, and I actually find Oracle decks completely fascinating, and I am still looking for one that I like, one that speaks to me. But so far, John, I haven't found one. Maybe soon, maybe soon. Peachy, Dark Oracle deck. You think I should check that one out? All right. I'll take a peek at that one. So, but no, if you guys have any Oracle decks that you think you'd like me to look at, drop them in the comments below. I do tend to gravitate toward dark gothic art. I don't know, it just speaks to my heart. I don't know why. So in that kind of ideal, or nature. I also do nature. Nature really is a good thing too. Some of your more, I guess you could say, space astrological designs, the color patterns and whatnot, occasionally catch my eye. But it's usually the more gothic or nature-based artwork that really speaks to me the best. So if you have any recommendations, let me know because I'll definitely do some research and check them out. Because that would be really cool. I am actually hoping to find an Oracle deck so I can at least have a bit more hands-on to say about it. All right, everyone. I appreciate y'all for joining me this Sunday and closing out the weekend here at Working Dragon Mystic with the Magical Coffee Hour and having some coffee with me. It's always good. And I know the week's about to kick off. We're all about to get a lot busier because we got to go back to work and all that fun stuff. Hopefully, we all have a wonderful week and we maintain ourselves as best we can. But should a problem or a bump in the road arise, remember, we're practitioners, people. Compose yourself. Think about it and approach it as mindfully as you can in hopes to resolve it as quickly as you can. Remember those laws of magic, self-mastery, self-knowledge. They're important things. Now, that being said, if in order to compose yourself, you need to go into the corner and spew a few profanities for a minute or two, I understand that. I think we all understand that. Sometimes you need to. But compose yourself and try to handle it as best you can. That way, maybe things won't get out of hand for you. And try to deal with one thing at a time whenever possible. Not get overwhelmed. But until next week, everyone, you have a wonderful week. I hope all your research and your spells are manifesting great. And your magic is helping you be the best magician, walk the best path you can walk. And until next time, everyone, take it easy. Now, well, have a great week. And get some sleep. I know I'm going to try that. I'm going to try some sleep. I ain't had some sleep. I'm going to try me some of that sleep. I think I know where I can buy some of that. Take care. Bye-bye.